ZJ Czupor and Sue Hinkin, welcome to the Rocky Mountain Writer Podcast.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, great to have you guys. Last year we did a podcast about the Colorado Gold Rush Literary Awards. And Sue, you were helping run the show last year, but we didn't have you on that particular podcast. And so it's great to have you this time around with ZJ, who was there last year. So.
Well, Sue and I the awards program, and Sue was not available last year, but Mindy Mayer joined us on that podcast. Mindy, judging aspect of so she corrals all of our volunteers, keeps track of them, parcels all the entries to the judges, collects them back, with all the comments and so on. So she has a big job.
And is she part of the team? She part of the team this year?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Thank heavens. We really, she's got great experience, and we love having.
Yeah, that's great. So for those who don't know, there might be some folks out there that are brand new to our Rocky Mountain fiction writers, right? We hope that there always are lots of new members coming into the organization every year, and there may be some folks who are just stumbling across RMFW for the first time and they're not yet members. Who wants to just kind of establish what this contest is and who it's for?
Well, I can shout out. Basically, the contest is for unpublished writers of novel-length fiction, and if you have published short stories or nonfiction, fine. Welcome to submit. We'd love to have, and that's really our focus at this point. There's some conversation about maybe next year, including a contest for published authors, but we're not there yet.
Well, obviously this contest.
Big job.
Yeah. This contest has been around for quite a while, and recently rebranded with a great new name. But talk a little bit about how, just walk us through the process where this ends up. This culminates at the Colorado Gold Conference, correct? Right.
Well, I go back to last year when Sue and I agreed to co-chair. We did a research project. We looked at writing contests around the country to see what were the best practices and what from that we could glean and use, what in our contest maybe was outdated that we could improve upon. And so then the idea came to us that we need to rebrand this and give this that notion that this is Colorado based and that it's literary based, and because we encourage entries from mainstream fiction, mystery thriller, YA, women's fiction, and science fiction and fantasy. And so all of those fall under that broad literary genre. And then we had a logo designed for us. And so all of that together helped brand, and now we're calling it the Colorado Gold Rush Literary Awards. And I think over time, at least we hope that it'll help continue to put Colorado on the map of literary contests.
That's great. Anything to add, Sue?
No, I think that really covers it. And as you and I were saying a little bit earlier, there's so many talented writers in the region, and we are getting more and more folks, I think partially due to from the country coming into our kind of area. And so we want to be able to honor people at a level that they deserve to be honored at. So that's where we're going with really trying to up the prestige and of our award.
And if I could add to that, Mark and Sue, I think also adds to the prestige is that every entry is judged by a volunteer judge. And this judge is somebody who has vast experience in their writing or editing or in the agent realm. And after those entrants are judged by our volunteer judges, then the finalists are chosen, and those are passed through what we call our VIP judges and professional editors, agents. So by the time the finalists and the winners are graded, if you will, they've gone through a really strict process, and their work has really been looked at very carefully.
And I think it's the quality of the critiques and the feedback I think the contestants get is also something to note. You know, you always have issues that somebody's not happy with the kind of feed they got, or felt it was too difficult or not difficult enough in terms of that the feedback. But generally speaking, the kind of learning that can take place from the feedback that our writers who are submitting receive in this contest, I think is really, really outstanding.
Yep, very good. So walk us through the basics. Let me just start with a few questions. When does the contest open? What are the categories? How much content are you looking for? And any kind of format concerns and things like that.
Okay. Well, we're going to open the contest on Saturday, May 1st, and it will close at midnight Mountain Standard Time on Wednesday, June the 30th. And to enter, you have to submit your 4,000 words from your manuscript, plus a 250-word synopsis. And it costs $35 to enter. And if you want professional critique from a qualified judge, that's $60 to enter. And then the winners, let me back up a second. There are 5 categories: mainstream, mystery thriller, young adult, women fiction, and science fiction, fantasy, and speculative fiction. And then every finalist will receive $50 plus an official certificate. The winner will receive $150 certificate and the opportunity to read the first paragraph at the award ceremony, the Gold Conference. And we're going to try to host a reception with our VIP judges, which we've never done before, because we think it'll be a great opportunity for networking and just to get to know our VIP judges on a personal level. Everybody will get a short feedback questionnaire and recommend at the award ceremony, which is kind of cool. And then they'll be featured on the RMFW website and also in the newsletter. And then they'll get bragging rights on social media. So I think there's a lot of benefit to entering, whether you win or not. I think there's a great benefit in just, 1, going through the process, 2, getting that valuable feedback and being able to self-examine your work and see where you need to improve to move on in your career.
Yeah, I think if you're around RMFW long enough and going to the conferences, you often hear stories about people who submitted the first time, you know, learned a lot about the quality of their writing and came back the second or maybe the third time finaling and or winning. It is I think your point is well taken, ZJ. Just engaging in the process is saying something about who you are and who you want to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let me just add too that ZJ and I think Mark, you too, I'm not sure about that, but we have entered. We have been part of this process.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, we've gotten the critiques and you know, won or not won. It's been a great experience, and that's one of the reasons I think ZJ and I are so enthusiastic about this whole program.
Yep. Very good. So what about the timing on announcements, ZJ, with or Sue, either one of you, with the conference moving from early September to mid-October? Hopefully we get to hold the conference. And I know the schedule looks like it's going to be a little abbreviated, a little bit shorter conference. But what is the schedule for announcing finalists and moving toward the conference?
Well, I think ZJ mentioned earlier that we'll start accepting submissions on May 1st. Everything's been pushed back about maybe 3 weeks or something like that. So we'll start receiving those 1st of May. The last day of submissions is June 30th. We'll send them to the judges, and then we'll have the finalists will be sent to the VIP judges, and we will know the winners probably around the 1st of October. And then the announcement will be during the conference, which is the 15th through the 17th of October at this point.
You've just basically added a few more weeks, I guess, to the judging period, which is nice because there's quite a volume, right? And so there's having a few more weeks or a couple months to, not a couple months, about 5 or 6 weeks, that really is going to help in some ways.
Yeah, and I think people are still a little overwhelmed with the whole pandemic thing and a little bit paralyzed. So everything is moving just a little bit slower.
Yep.
But it's happening.
Yep. Do you have handy numbers of entries you had last year? And were some categories lighter than others in terms of volume?
I don't have them at my fingertips.
I might. Give me a second. I'll look at my notes here.
I love it. I love a guy with an office and a well-organized filing system. And that's
not so much organized, but here's my report. Let's see. Last year we had 123 entries, and we always cap it at 200. So we were down a little bit last year, and we think that's due to the pandemic. And just because so many things got changed around last year. But still, with those 123 entries, that produced 30 in the mystery thriller category, 29 in mainstream, 26 in YA, 21 in sci-fi fantasy, 17 in women's romance. So pretty evenly distributed.
Yeah.
And the quality was excellent.
Yeah. And I might add too, Mark, that we got entries from 20 states and one from Australia last year. So that's very cool. I mean, we are noticed outside of Colorado, and we're very proud of that.
Yep. So talk to us about what folks can expect with those critiques if they decide to spend the extra $25 to get a full critique. Is there a guarantee of kind of length of commentary they're going to get back? Is it a certain number of pages? What can they expect?
Sue, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, it's somewhat variable. You'll get at least 2 pages worth of copy, and sometimes more than that. Every one of the judges who's doing the critiques does it in a little bit different style, but it will be pretty comprehensive. And they will look at your hook at the beginning, how they're pulled in, the dialogue, the scene, grammar, and all of the kind of mechanics, as well as take a look at your synopsis and what the arc of the story looks like. So it'll be pretty comprehensive.
That
synopsis is. Go ahead, ZJ.
I was going to add one thing that struck me last year in looking at some of the comments, and this is a great learning experience in that some of the entries, the judges commented saying that it didn't match the synopsis claim the story was going to be about. So I think, that's instructive for people who enter contests like that. You want to make sure the first 4,000 words represent your overall story in some way, because you go off into tangents of introducing other characters that are not important and,
right.
Long-winded diatribes that, slow the story down. I thought that was very instructive.
Those synopses are very difficult to write, those short, and ours are 250 words. We've shortened it. It seems to be more in line with publication standards at this point. So it's very challenging. Once in a while, I have somebody that says, I don't want to tell you the end because I will surprise you. Well, you know what? An agent doesn't want to be surprised. They need to know the entire story arc. So I encourage everybody who's doing a synopsis to really do it from start to finish.
Yeah, you may as well just pretend if you're putting in for this contest, you may as well pretend that you're submitting this to an agent. It's really no different in some ways. It better be your opening 4,000 words better be really well checked and proofed and all that good stuff, and your synopsis better be scintillating, I guess I would say.
I'll just
Yeah,
give you a little.
it's great. Go ahead, CJ.
I was going to give you a little idea. You can't see this all, but we retooled the manuscript judging, and it covers everything from formatting to genre opening. Are you in the right
Point of
genre?
Yeah.
Interesting hook. You start in the right place. Story premise, the details, setting. So you have to kind of hit all these benchmarks. And I was looking at this after we retooled it, and I thought, I wonder if my own writing hits these benchmarks, because it's a good tool to have on the wall and look at.
Absolutely.
It's a score sheet there, right, TJ?
Correct.
And the person submitting their entry, they get that score sheet back with a number.
That's right.
No, we do not do numbers. We stopped doing numbers. It's kind of like, you're not in school anymore. 95 does not mean an A. So it caused more problems. People focus more on the number than on the feedback and the critique. And I think it's been a great move for us. And I think it's typical of contests now. Very few give out an actual number. It's really just for scoring purposes.
That's great. Very good. Boy, I love the idea of the reception at the conference. I think that's a brilliant idea. Whose was that?
I think CJ and I kind of came up with it. Any party opportunity we're in for. We also had a meeting just this week with the Colorado Gold Conference Committee, and we're talking about maybe Friday night having the winners from 2020 and the winners from 2021 read their work for the agents, the presenters, the folks who are coming to the conference, as well as Zooming it. So we are doing our best to make sure that our finalists and winners get some terrific opportunity to be seen and heard.
Now, a lot of people just feel, I'm sure, like they just got kind of skipped last year. And it really is for those who've been to the banquet before, it's a really nice moment. That's one of my favorite moments of the conference when they announce.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's some nice backdrop to take cool photos, and it's very professional and all that. So, that's a great idea to bring in last year's folks too. Terrific. Yeah. Have you heard any good anecdotes coming out of last year about any connections that have been made from winners of the contest last year who maybe got a full offer from an agent or something to get representation?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone did get a final offer. I know that almost everybody had an offer to send in their full manuscript from the agent or publisher. We try to have people who are VIP judges who are taking on writers, so that the people who do submit have an opportunity to have somebody say, send me your full, or I'm interested in seeing more. We're not really wanting to have people who are VIP judges who are not taking on anybody new. We want that opportunity to be there for our folks.
Right. Do you have your judges yet? Not your judges, I'm sorry, your VIP judges set, the folks, do you have that cast of characters known, and could you share that?
Yeah, I have it in front of me, Sue.
Go ahead, CJ.
For mainstream, Susie Brooks will be judging that. She's the publisher of Literary Wanderlust. For mystery thriller, our judge is Terry Wolf. She's the owner agent of AKA Literary Management. For YA middle grade, our judge is Jolene Haley. She's an agent with Warsaw Lion Literary Agency. For women's fiction and romance, our judge is Allison Lyons. She's an editor with Harlequin. And for sci-fi, fantasy, and speculative fiction, our judge is Ida Lilly. She's an associate agent at KT Literary.
Excellent. Sounds like a good crew.
I think so.
Yeah. So what do each of you get out of doing this? Maybe you start with Sue. What's the reward for you?
The Colorado writing community has just been such an important part of my And I don't think I would be a published author without being part of my great critique group. I think I have said, I feel like I got my MFA in the back tables of Panera in the, uncomfortable stuffed chairs at Tattered Cover Aspen Grove, all of my wonderful mates in the writers critique groups. For me, I want to give back to this community, this Colorado writing, Rocky Mountain writing community, and being part of this contest is a great opportunity to grow writers and authors, and I'm excited to have an opportunity to participate in that.
Okay, before ZJ answers, I'm going to press back a little bit. I'm going to press a little harder. It's one thing to give back, Sue, which I appreciate. Do you get anything, stop and think as you see the submissions come in? Do you peek at the writing? Do you, does it adjust your own process, or is it a reminder every year as you go through these about your own kind of standards and expectations for your own prose?
That's a really great point. And the answer is absolutely yes. I love peeking at the writing just to see what's coming in. I always learn something, or be reminded, this is something I shouldn't do and I'm doing too much of it, or this is something that I need to do better at. Yeah, there are terrific authors out there who are yet unpublished, who are coming through the contest. And I absolutely learn from taking a peek at their writing.
Yeah. Okay, ZJ, what do you get out of it?
Well, a lot of what Sue just said, although while I am not published, I did.
You were #1 poetry. Let's talk.
Well, that was kind of a side interest. My real love is mystery and thrillers. I did write a poetry book earlier last year, as you know. Yep. But in terms of writing fiction, I feel like I've been through the gauntlet. I've met with lots of agents in person, I've done a lot of commissions. I've racked up my of rejections, and I'm sure there's going to be more, but it's all part of this learning process. And actually in helping to manage the awards process, as Sue said, you also are reminded and you learn along the way that, oh yeah, here's some deficiencies I need to be aware of, or yeah, hey, I'm doing okay in these areas. So it gives you some confirmation that, you're a writer, whether you're published or not, you're a writer.
Yep, very good. So you hinted earlier at this idea about perhaps expanding to published writers next year. Is there anything you can go into with that? What's that all about?
It's all speculation at this point, but there are a lot of terrific conferences out there. I'm thinking of like Killer Nashville, for example, the Silver Falchion Award, and that have a combination of unpublished writer contest and published writer contest. So there is interest in that. It's a huge job, different level of judging. So at this point, we're just in conversation, but there's a lot of interest.
Boy, oh boy, that would be something. And
yeah.
I mean, with the Colorado Book Award program right there, it might be interesting to see what different sorts of books get different kinds of spotlights on them, different sets of judges. Who knows? Yeah, that's interesting.
At this point, it's speculation, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, and conferences like Killer Nashville and things along those lines draw in people from around the country.
Around the world, yeah.
Around the world, I stand corrected. Absolutely, because of that very fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Okay, you secretive bunch, you. Okay.
Nothing to tell, Mark, truly.
Yeah. Well,
although we're good at making up stories, you can happily tell you one.
Yeah. Well, that would be a lot of work. I assume you'd need to find a way to replicate yourselves and or form a different committee to be like two different kinds of things, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because this past year I volunteered to be a judge for the Arizona, New Mexico Writing Awards. And so I've been sent, I think, about 4 books that I have to read through yet.
Wow.
So that'll give me an idea of how they work. And maybe I can bring some of that information to whatever this speculative discussion ends up doing.
How did that opportunity come about, ZJ?
Because of my work with and being on the board of Mystery Writers and the Rocky Mountain chapter, our New Mexico representative sent out an email saying that they were going to be doing these awards for Arizona, New Mexico writers, and they were looking for judges. So I thought, well, I'll volunteer and see what that's all about.
Good for you. That's excellent. Yeah. Good deal. Have you ever judged a contest, Sue, for books that have already been published?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Yep.
It's interesting. But no, I haven't. I've not done that.
Yep. Very good. Well, is there anything I haven't asked you about in terms of the contest itself? Just trying to get the word out about submission dates and make sure your 4,000 words is ready to go. Make sure that 250 word synopsis matches what the story actually is going to, go through. Do you need to have finished your whole novel to have put in the 4,000 words?
No.
So it can be just an idea and a synopsis with your 4,000 word lead in, and you can,
right.
Yep. You might think
it can't, that's all it has to be. However, in hearing some of the comments from our VIP judges, the agents and editors, they're looking for complete manuscripts. And so if you're going to enter and you're going to final and be a winner, you probably have a good chance that they're going to ask for at least a partial of that manuscript or the full manuscript. And if it's not done, it's a missed opportunity.
It's a
so,
yeah.
For what it's worth, finish it.
You don't want to say, I'll get back to you in 18 months. At that point.
Right.
No. Right.
For me, it'd be 2 years. Yeah. So at minimum. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think it shows you've got a complete idea and you're ready to go.
Right.
You're a professional writer. You say, there's my best 4,000 words, but you bet it's done. It's ready to go. I can get it to you in your email inbox within the hour. And
yeah,
that's right.
And he or she could have read it by midnight that night if they're that intrigued. So,
right.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that manuscript, at least a contest will help you shape up that beginning. So you'll have a great place to jump off into finishing that manuscript from. Also, again, we're capping it at 200 entrants. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot more activity in terms of people entering the contest than last year as things start to open up. So just get your information in ASAP.
Yep, that's great.
And of course, all the information that we've talked about is available on the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers website under contests. So,
right,
go there, and that's where you can enter also through the website.
Right.
And you are doing a workshop coming up, I believe, on the 17th.
Correct.
So
1 to 3 in the afternoon.
And Zoom link will be online or available.
Yeah.
Out there some way. And if you have a specific question that you're not getting answered anywhere else, you have a chance to quiz you directly on how the whole system works.
Right. And we also take any questions at contest at rmfw.org, so people can send questions to us if they are not able to attend.
Great. Well, as we wrap up here, I just want to quickly do 2 things with each of you, and that is just check in on your what's happening with you with the writing, and also just ask you for a recommendation, maybe something you're reading currently, just to suggest folks try an author or try somebody that you are super excited about recently. So, ZJ, what's happening? Do you have some manuscripts out there with agents or anything going on?
I have 2 manuscripts out with an agent, and she's been waiting for me to finish this 3rd one. We don't have a contractual agreement yet, but we're talking. So I just finished my 3rd manuscript and turned it over to an editor based on the recommendation of Sue. Yeah. So I hope I'll have those comments back and cleaned up in a month, and then I can submit it again. Meanwhile, I'm starting on a new thriller, which I've just been rattling around in my head for a while. And so I'm excited about that.
Can you take a minute and describe the story for the book that is getting the most interest from your agent in terms of, or your potential agent?
Yes, I've named it Elrod, and it's about a 18-year-old boy who grows up in a small town in the middle of Kansas, works on his grandfather's cattle ranch, and one day his mother is murdered. So it has echoes of In Cold Blood there. And his very exuberant, flamboyant aunt swoops in from Los Angeles that he never knew he even had. And she takes him back to LA to live with her. And so he, in this process and on the road trip, begins to learn a lot of family secrets that don't square with what he thought his mother told him about his life. Mm-hmm. And so then he finds out who actually killed his real father and ends up back in Kansas taking over the ranch. So it's that's kind of the way it rolls.
That's great pitch.
Yeah, I assume that there's some sort of murder mystery kind of a situation trying to figure out who killed.
Yeah, although it's more character driven.
Okay.
So I think it's more of a literary mystery, if you can call it that.
Love it. It sounds fantastic.
I hope it works that way anyway.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll come back to you on the book recommendation in a minute. We'll check in with Sue. And I know she's got a brand new book out there. It just came out.
I do. April 1st. It's called The Mermaid Broker. And it's a weird, quirky thriller about sex trafficking in Southern California, about a Santa Monica High School oceanography teacher, a young woman who is trafficked into a wild production of kind of the prototype of the mermaid, who basically the strong woman who kills or otherwise her or drowns her lover. So it's a good one. I think it's a good one. It's a lot of fun. I'm getting good feedback on it.
Featuring.
And then I'm just finishing. I'm sorry.
And it features your main characters.
Yes, absolutely. This is the fourth in the B. Middleton, who is a CNN TV news reporter, and Lucy Vega, her best friend, who's a photographer. This is their fourth book together.
Fantastic.
And I'm finishing the fifth one. I will be sending that over to publisher hopefully next week.
Great. All right. Well, let's go back to ZJ for a book or author recommendation.
Well, the current book I'm reading, and I'm almost finished, is called Gangsterland. It's an older book by Todd Goldberg, and it's a quirky gangster novel, but it gets into religion and ethics and all kinds of interesting things because the main character is a Chicago hitman who kills some FBI agents, and so the gangsters shuttle him off to Las Vegas and plop him into the middle of a Jewish community where he gets a whole surgical makeup of his face and everything, and he becomes a rabbi.
Oh my God, that's great.
It's very, very different, but it's a fun read.
Contemporary setting?
It's contemporary setting, yes.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. And I meant to ask you about your story. Is that contemporary also, the Elrod?
Oh, it's based in 1980.
Okay.
And the setting is the 1980 farm crisis,
Gotcha.
which really devastated a lot of small farmers and ranchers.
Oh, yeah.
Tough time.
A lot of suicides around that back then.
Absolutely.
Yep. Boy, I remember that.
You see that in my book too.
Right. Wow. And Sue, how about a recommendation as we wrap up?
Well, I just finished Then She Was Gone by Rachel Housel Hall. She's a LA writer, writes an LA woman PI. I really enjoyed it, and she is going to be one of our keynotes for the Colorado Gold Conference this fall. I'm looking forward to meeting her, and she's a wonderful presenter as well.
She's fantastic. I've read a bunch of her books. Her earlier series set in LA with the
Right.
cop, and I'm pulling up her name if I can right now, but wow, is she good. And her dialogue is terrific. I mean,
Great. It's fantastic.
yeah, she is a smooth writer. I would put her right up there with Michael Connelly in terms of plot too. And
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
She was a thrilling discovery for me. I'm really enjoying her.
and I had the pleasure of serving with her, being around her Mystery Writers of America on the national side, and she is as nice as she is good. So there you go. Yeah, that's great. Excellent. Well, ZJ and Sue, thank you so much for your time today, and we will catch up with each of you down the road. Good luck running the contest this year, and thanks for all you do for RMFW.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for
It's always
having
a
us.
pleasure.